This week, a Boeing whistleblower went before the Senate as the company remains under investigation for the safety of their planes.
Yeah, the engineer was talking about what's happening on the assembly line, saying things like that he saw people jumping on pieces of airplanes to get them aligned properly. Well, former 9 News and NBC senior aviation correspondent Tom Costello, of course, covering that and much other stuff as well. He joins us now live. Thanks for being with us. Good to see you as always, Tom. But you had talked with this whistleblower before he spoke with the Senate, and it has to be alarming to hear what he's saying.
Yeah, he made some rather alarming claims. He claims that essentially the big pieces of the fuselage that come together to make the plane, the 787, they're supposed to come up and be like that, right? They're supposed to be flush, but he claims the gaps between them, which are only paper thin, they're too big. That the gaps between those fuselage pieces are too big, and as a result, there's a great potential, he says, that the plane could break apart midair. Now, Boeing takes extreme exception to that. Boeing says absolutely not. This has been stress tested to extreme levels, 165,000 takeoffs and landings, and they say there is absolutely zero evidence at all of any fracture lines, any stress whatsoever. But nonetheless, his claim is one of many, and as a result, the Senate called a hearing yesterday, really trying to get to the bottom of what whistleblowers are alleging. 3 whistleblowers came forward yesterday, and the Senate says they've got more whistleblowers who have also indicated they want to talk, but they're concerned about retaliation.
It is unnerving, and especially for all of us, most of us thinking about flights coming up in our near future. Also, when you think of Alaska Airlines and the fact that just the investigation itself, I know the NTSB is kind of frustrated with how forthcoming Boeing has been.
Yeah, the NTSB has felt that Boeing has not been forthcoming in terms of giving them all of the documents, all of the information about who was on the assembly line for that plane, the 737 MAX 9, that had the door plug blowout back in January. Kind of hard to believe that a company that is so meticulous in record keeping has no idea who actually had their hands on that door plug when it went into the 737 MAX 9 on the assembly line. That said, Boeing has admitted that they've had a huge breakdown in quality control. The FAA has flooded Boeing with inspectors. The NTSB is still on the scene. There's a FBI criminal investigation, and of course lawsuits are pending. And the CEO will be out by the end of the year. I mean, this is a company under tremendous stress and admits that it has had multiple breakdowns in safety on the assembly line, but also insists that the planes remain safe.
Yeah, you wonder about the oversight in this, whether it's from the company or from the government as well when you're talking about airplanes. Hey, before we run out of time, I want to ask you about the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. You were out there right after it happened there. We're now a month later. There's so much that they're trying to investigate. They still have bodies to recover, sadly, as well. What's the latest on that situation?
So it's only about 45 minutes to an hour north of us here. You know, I'm in Washington. That's right up the road in Baltimore. This critical linchpin of traffic and ship traffic on the East Coast. And the bridge remains in the water for the most part. And that ship, that massive container ship, remains stuck in place as well. There's another FBI investigation into that because the FBI wants to know whether the crew knew in advance, knew before leaving port, that they had engine problems, fuel problems, electrical problems. If that did happen, if they knew before they left, then that could nullify part of their defense. They are relying on a pre-Civil War law dating back to 1851, which says that only the value of the ship, that's the only value that if a ship's involved in an accident, that's as much as the operator and owner of the ship has to pay. Forget about damages to the family, forget about the bridge that's down, just the actual damages to the ship. Well, the bottom line is there's an exception if they were derelict, if in fact they knew that the ship should have never have left port. FBI is investigating that. Coast Guard's still on the scene, NTSB is still on the scene. You know, I think we're probably talking several more weeks before they can open the Baltimore port up to more ship traffic. And this is a critical port on the East Coast in which we get a lot of cars that come in, you know, new cars come in via ship. It's also a lot of traffic that comes in for cruise ships, for example, supplies coming from Europe especially. So this is, it continues to be a big, big economic drag on the East Coast.
Well, Tom, we always appreciate that you take time for us, you remember us, and it's good to talk to you. You know, we hope that you just continue to follow these investigations, and overall, it's the investigative side of things. No more terrible accidents, and maybe some more space stories from you as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, and my heart's still back there in Colorado, so I'll come on whenever you'll have me.
We
Okay.
love having you on. Tom, it's always good to see you. Thanks again for your time today.